What up, what up, what up, what up, everybody? It's been a little while since we did a Thursday Not at Noon. So let me tell you what's going on. Basically, I got out of church right about an hour ago or so. And I was going over, grabbed a sandwich real quick. Soup and a sandwich was what we decided to do for lunch. And as I'm going, Sierra starts telling me about Project Bluebeam. And I hadn't really thought about Project Bluebeam before. I don't know if you guys know the term. I didn't really know the phrase that well. But she starts telling me about it, and she starts telling me, she's like, look at all the drone sightings and everything. And I started kind of thinking about the drone sightings in Georgia. I guess yesterday there were some like car alarms going off and everything in Memphis or something. There's been stuff in Kentucky. And so I kind of stopped for a second. I started thinking about it, and I was like, okay, maybe it's not just a silly little conspiracy. So I go looking for a video, because I was like, Sierra's showing me all these little TikTok shorts and YouTube shorts and everything, and I was like, okay, maybe there's something to it. Maybe I need to actually look into this subject, because it sounds interesting, but that's kind of wild, that was a neat little thing that had come across. And so today we're gonna do a little conspiracy thing. So the rest of the time while I was driving out grabbing soup and sandwiches and stuff, I was watching the Y-Files video on Project Bluebeam. And so we're not going to watch the whole thing, but I do want to play a part of that we can watch together. But I want to give a little bit of backstory before I get into it. If you guys have heard me go on rants at length, I've had the theory for a long time that Trump, through no nefarious intent of his own, would accidentally bring about the rise of the Antichrist. I believe I've said several times, my personal theory behind the scenes and casual conversation and biblical conversation has been that, I would believe that personally, my view of the timeline is that Trump's second term would be the first 3.5 years of the tribulation period that the Bible tells us about, which is the false peace theory. And again, I'm not saying that that's biblical fact. I'm saying that has been my theory for some time. So the more I was looking into this Project Bluebeam, a few things really became interesting to me. Number one was, okay, well, first of all, let me lay this out. Let me tell you what this shifted my view to think is, what if the Joe Biden years were the first 3.5 years of prophecy? Because it's interesting. He did a 4-year term. One presidential term in the United States is 4 years. And so what if that was the beginning of the tribulation period, and we are moving now toward a rapture period? Because the more I listened to this, the more it occurred to me. One question I've always had when people have talked about the rapture in the Bible is, how would all of God's people be taken off of earth? How would I be gone? And let's say my neighbor or my friend who doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in biblical prophecy, how would they notice that I'm gone without wondering where I went or thinking anything was different, and then just continue going on living their life? Because when we're told about God's people being called away, the Bible tells us that 2 will be in the field and 1 will go away, but the other won't really give thought to it. And it's crazy because the way the Y-Files sets out, and I'm not going to play the beginning part, but the way that they set it out is the aftermath of this Project Bluebeam, if it is actually the way that the conspiracies say that it is. And so what they point out is everyone is happy because the non-believers have been gone away, and Project Bluebeam is a way basically to shift the world into one government, into one religion, and into moving away from ostracizing and then getting rid of basically the conspiracy theorists, the outliers who don't want to, blindly follow what the government is telling them. Bring about that peace, bring about the world into one system. So many things lined up to me, because when I'm hearing this, okay, first of all, that's an easy way for God's people not to be noticed if they were to be raptured. Second, It really it fulfills so many things about the one world government, about one religion, about the Antichrist, about all of this coming about. And so now for a minute, I want to play the Y files, what the Y files actually put up about this. I want to play probably about 10 minutes of theirs. I'm going to play it sped up a little bit, but this is interesting. And then after I show you guys this, there's one more thing that I want to show you guys. And it's kind of about some current events. So let me pause my background music real quick just so we can focus on this video. And it is sped up. So if you want to watch this on your own, if you miss something, it is an easier video to get. I still have my sandwich that I have to eat. So, you know, this is very much my lunchtime that I'm getting around to. But I couldn't not go live and talk about this for a minute. So let's go.
Serge Monast wasn't the type of guy you'd expect to become a global conspiracy icon. He was a journalist from Quebec, Canada. He focused mainly on political commentary. In the early 90s, he didn't like where society was headed.
Also, quick pause. What up, Denise? What up, Fireman? What up, Sam Squatch? How you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing fantastic.
Something was happening. He could feel it, but he couldn't identify it. So he did some digging, and his fears were justified. He discovered a secret cabal of powerful elites controlling the world from behind the scenes. He called...
Also, Roxy. I didn't say hi to Roxy. My bad, my bad. Okay, now let's go.
He discovered a secret cabal of powerful elites controlling the world from behind the scenes. He called them the Shadow Masters. But you can substitute shadow government, deep state, military intelligence complex.
Illuminati.
Right. Whatever you want to call them, Serge Monast was determined to expose them.
Yeah, they didn't like that.
Don't get ahead of me.
Oh, no.
In 1994, he published a book about his investigation, Project Bluebeam, which outlines a detailed plan to create a one-world government and a new world order. And the plan is about to go into motion. NASA and the United Nations will be front organizations. The UN will allow the elites to influence every country on Earth, and NASA will create the technology to turn influence into control. Monast discovered that Project Bluebeam will create the biggest hoax ever conceived. Using advanced technology and psychological manipulation, this illusion will be so convincing that it becomes the new reality shared by everyone on Earth. A reality...
See, and pause. Think about what he's saying right now. So NASA and the UN are the two big tools that are doing this. What are we seeing happen right now?
Manipulation, this illusion will be so convincing that it becomes the new reality shared by everyone on Earth, a reality controlled by an elite few. Project Bluebeam has 4 key goals to ensure everyone's primary allegiance is to the New World Order. First, destroy religion. Second, destroy national pride. Third, destroy the family. And fourth, destroy individual creative freedom.
Okay, now pause there again too. We're doing what? We're destroying national pride, we're destroying religion, individual freedom. It feels like these are things that society has been pushing us toward for a long time now, right?
Team has 4 key goals to ensure everyone's primary allegiance is to the New World Order. First, destroy religion. Second, destroy national pride. Third, destroy the family. And fourth, destroy individual creative freedom.
Hello, this is already happening.
As soon as his book was released, he was followed, surveilled, his phones were tapped, he was harassed, and then there was a knock on the door.
Hitman?
Child Protective Services.
Oh.
They took his kids away.
What? Why?
Well, his children were homeschooled. The Canadian government didn't like this. They were taken from him and made wards of the state so they could receive a proper public education.
Run by the government.
Yep.
See, interesting note on that too. If you guys have followed things like that people like Tyson James have had going on and stuff like that, that's interesting, huh?
They were taken from him and made wards of the state so they could receive a proper public education.
Run by the government.
Yep. He never saw them again. A few months later, in December, another knock on the door.
Pizza?
Police.
Uh-oh.
He was arrested for spreading misinformation.
It's been a long time since Canadians had freedom of speech, huh?
Monast was questioned by police for hours and then spent the night in jail. Then, the very next day, well, what usually happens to whistleblowers who expose secret government programs?
They write books and go on Joe Rogan.
No, I mean whistleblowers not for military intelligence.
Oh, this happens.
What was that? Did you sneeze?
No. Don't you see me slicing my fin across my throat?
No, it's not.
All right, so one pause right here. If you hear that, if you back up, what was one thing? If you guys have been paying attention to headlines, what was one thing that Trump said recently? Now, don't get me wrong. I voted for Trump. I supported Trump. If you think though, what was one thing that Trump suggested recently, which was getting, basically tightening the clamps on whistleblowers who come out. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of outrage talking about, okay, well, that can't happen. And I don't support that. I don't think that whistleblowers should have to face repercussions. I think that they should absolutely, their claims should be vetted. I understand why Trump has the stance that he has, because there was a very negative connotation with a lot of whistleblowers under his first administration. But it's interesting because we're moving to this point where whistleblowers are what? Whatever. You guys heard the silly little they're thatted. Okay, let's continue. But just the interesting point right here. This is one of the ones where my ears kind of perked up.
No, I mean whistleblowers not for military intelligence.
Oh, this happens.
What was that? Did you sneeze?
No. Hey, don't you see me slicing my fin across my throat?
No, it's not even moving.
Hang on. How about this?
Still nothing.
Crap. Yeah, I might have to ease up on the Botox.
Yeah, you're not fooling anybody.
It's for my migraines.
So what happens to whistleblowers?
They get dead.
Yes. The next day, Serge Manasse was found dead in his apartment. The official report said he died of a heart attack. He was only 51 years old. His latest physical showed him in perfect health. 2 other journalists looking into Project Bluebeam also had sudden heart attacks, though they had no history of heart problems. So we know the goals of Project Bluebeam: one world government, one world religion, one national identity, and the erosion of the family in favor of the state. Those are big goals. Big goals require a bold move.
Big goals that we're moving toward actively. Trump doesn't use words that people don't understand. No, I get that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, but it goes into, and this ties to a previous thing that I've talked about several times, but it goes to, I do believe that inadvertently Trump will be used to, not by any of his own intentional actions, but will set the stage for the Antichrist to come about. This is why, if you go back to early last year, I told everyone, I said, I know that Trump will win because there's too much prophecy lined up right now, okay? The world is prepped for the rise of the Antichrist. No matter what, we are at a point where the Antichrist prophetically could come at any time. The one thing that is left is the temple in Jerusalem, and they're basically building it back together already and getting ready to move it to the site. They just can't put it there right now because they don't have the authority to put it there. But we are very close to seeing the last few prophecies preceding the Antichrist come to fruition, which means that we have to be in or near the tribulation period. And so that's where, with all of this, my mind started shifting to, okay, I had previously believed that the next presidential term would be the first 3.5 years, the false peace, which is the first half of the tribulation. However, what if, like I said at the beginning, what if Joe Biden's term was the first 3.5 years and we are actually approaching currently the rapture? This Project Bluebeam, as we continue through this video, you're going to hear a little bit of what I'm building toward about how this could easily be used to cover up the rapture in the view of the world. And it's interesting too, because when you look at the stream and how this stream is being presented and everything, I'm being told right now, according to the interface that I'm using, that I only have 5 viewers going on, which is funny because I can look at YouTube. I can see that I have 5 active viewers on YouTube. I see that I have viewers active on Twitch, and I see that I have viewers active on Rumble. And so it's interesting. I am telling you, this is live on all 3, and it'll stay up on all 3 as long as the platforms let me up. So you guys can watch it wherever you want to. If we do happen to go down on one, because I know that platforms are a little bit iffy when you start pushing things like this. If we do happen to go down on one, the whole video will be up if you want to go back and catch it later on every platform that'll let me keep it up. I'm sure Rumble, if no other one will. But this is interesting. I really wanted to get... it's really on my heart. I don't know why. It's on my heart so much that I'm jittery. Like shaking jittery. Talking about it, because this, I don't know what it is, but okay, let me tell you what actually I think it is. Yesterday I'm scrolling through my YouTube feed and I see that there is earthquake activity along the New Madrid fault line. There has been for a few days. It's been in Kentucky, it's been in Tennessee, Missouri, I believe Indiana. It's been felt in all the states along the New Madrid fault line. That's interesting. That'll become a lot more interesting as we're watching this video. As we get deeper into this video, you'll see why that kind of keyed on me. But when I saw that, I almost took a screen share and shared it with some friends of mine. Because again, too, keep in mind, we've been hearing for a long time the New Madrid fault line would be the big one, right? The one that we need to be worried about. And we also see biblically, by prophecy, there will be earthquakes in diverse places and everything. So just a lot of those, keep those factors in the back of your mind while we run through these next few minutes of this video. Let's go.
The Shadow Masters know this, and it all starts with an earthquake.
All starts with a what? all starts with a what? Hold up, let me back up because I stopped in the middle and talked about that. But let's hear that whole thing through again.
Looking into Project Bluebeam also had sudden heart attacks, though they had no history of heart problems. So we know the goals of Project Bluebeam: one world government, one world religion, one national identity, and the erosion of the family in favor of the state. Those are big goals. Big goals require bold moves. The Shadow Masters know this, and it all starts with an earthquake. The elites behind Project Bluebeam know that implementing a one-world government requires everyone to share a single set of values. That makes the population much easier to control. Project Bluebeam achieves its goal in 4 steps. Step 1, create a single religion where everyone worships the same God, the God they create. Serge Manasse called this the New Age religion.
Now, this is not intentionally. Obviously, Project Bluebeam and biblical prophecy are not the same thing. But it's interesting, as you're listening to this, how much it lines up with biblical prophecy.
Project Bluebeam achieves its goal in 4 steps. Step 1, create a single religion where everyone worships the same God, the God they create. Serge Manasse called this the New Age religion.
We must remember that the New Age religion is the very foundation for the New World Government, without which the dictatorship is completely impossible. That is why the Bluebeam Project is so important to them, but has been so well hidden until now.
How do you destroy all religions? Well, find new archaeological artifacts that discredit them. Produce hard physical evidence as proof that their doctrine is wrong. It wouldn't be the first time that religion was impacted by a new discovery. The Dead Sea Scrolls. For hundreds of years, the Bible was thought to be complete. Then in 1947, a shepherd finds some clay jars in a cave, and suddenly there are new religious texts, like the Book of Jubilees, the Wisdom of Solomon, and the Book of Tobit.
Yeah, and the Book of Enoch.
Right.
The Book of Enoch, link below. It's got giants, it's got angels, it's got the Great Flood, it's even got Anunnaki.
This discovery of the...
Now, interesting note there, the Book of Enoch, which is something, Fireman, I know that we have had conversations with a few times. The Book of Enoch coming up in what he's saying right now. This is why I think that I have had to talk about this, is because there's so many things throughout this video that pop back into conversations that we've all had. And like I said, I'm not usually a big conspiracy buff or anything like that. But there's just something on my heart around this to share with you guys. What up, Tater? Why are we calling Thursday Night at Noon? Because this is the Thursday Night at Noon show that I do at noon every now and then. I haven't done one since around election time, but it had to come back.
Book of Jubilees, the Wisdom of Solomon, and the Book of Tobit.
Yeah, and the Book of Enoch.
Right.
The Book of Enoch, link below. It's got giants, it's got angels, it's got the Great Flood, it's even got Anunnaki.
This discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls didn't fundamentally change religion, but it did cause scholars to ask, what else were we missing? Imagine an earthquake in the Middle East which reveals hard evidence that Jesus never existed. Chaos. Or an earthquake that reveals technology buried for 2 million years that proves human DNA was engineered by aliens or another advanced race.
Yeah, Anunnaki.
That would completely undermine not just the story of creation, but also debunk evolution. Project Bluebeam will fabricate any evidence necessary to discredit every religion on the planet, and they'll hide that evidence in an earthquake. If the right artifact were discovered, it would cause chaos within every faith. But what about people who don't belong to a religion or don't believe in God? Project Bluebeam addresses this in Step 2, the step where we get a new God. Project Bluebeam's Step 2. Manasse called...
All right, so Step 1, destroy every religion, unite them all under a single God, right? In case y'all didn't follow along with that, let's go to Step 2.
Project Bluebeam's Step 2. Manasse calls it the big space show in the sky, but it's so much more.
Now keep the drones everybody has been seeing in the sky in mind while we're looking at this.
Beam's Step 2. Manasse calls it the big space show in the sky, but it's so much more. He discovered that NASA and a few intelligence agencies developed the technology to project 3D holographic images into the sky. I say into because the system uses a combination of satellites and ground-based systems to manipulate the ionosphere. You don't need a screen. Images can be projected onto the particles in the atmosphere. The projections will appear so lifelike that people will believe they are witnessing a miracle. The dominant god of each region will appear in the sky. Imagine looking up and seeing Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, all speaking to their followers in their own language. Their god will tell them their beliefs are all wrong, then will slowly morph into a new god. This is the first appearance of the new Messiah, God of the New World Order.
The projection...
You guys hear it? You guys hear it? We're all looking at the sky right now, right? Now, what if I have an alternate theory? Because this is the point where my brain started branching 2 different ways. One is this, what he's talking through. But what if, 2, the predominance of this conspiracy What if Jesus actually returns and we see him in the sky like prophecy tells us we will, and people don't believe that it's him because they've heard this prophecy or this conspiracy?
Buddha, all speaking to their followers in their own language. Their God will tell them their beliefs are all wrong, then will slowly morph into a new God. This is the first appearance of the new Messiah, God of the New World Order.
Now, see, going back to if God's people are called back, if the rapture were to occur, if Jesus were really in the sky and people don't believe it is Jesus because they've been engineered to believe that it could be a projection, and that paves the way for Christianity to be phased out of the earth in the final times, huh?
The projections of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Krishna will merge into one, and explanations of mysteries and revelations will be disclosed. This one God will, in fact, be the Antichrist, who will explain that the various scriptures have been misunderstood and
Again, we're talking right there about the establishment of the one world government. Let's go.
This one God will, in fact, be the Antichrist, who will explain that the various scriptures have been misunderstood and misinterpreted, and that the religions of old are responsible for turning brother against brother and nation against nation. Therefore, old religions must be abolished to make way for the new.
Which is something that we are actively already. How many people truly believe that wars are fought predominantly over religion? It's not true, but how many people believe that it's true? No worries, Nappy. What up, what up?
Who will explain that the various scriptures have been misunderstood and misinterpreted, and that the religions of old are responsible for turning brother against brother and nation against nation. Therefore, old religions must be abolished to make way for the new age, new world religion, representing the one God Antichrist they see before them.
Debunking old religions will be enough to convert some people to this new one. Giant deities appearing and then converging into one Antichrist will convert a lot more. But these technologies won't work on everybody. Non-religious people will be terrified for sure, but they won't suddenly believe in a god based on a hologram, no matter how real it looks. The Shadow Masters know that. The Shadow Masters know that to create a one-world government and single religion, they need 100% of the population to believe. But you can't force a religious belief on somebody. They need to make the decision themselves, or at least be convinced they made it. The elites know this. That brings us to step 3. If you're not convinced by what you see, they'll use technology to broadcast the message directly into your brain. You may not.
Now, this is where we have to start thinking about how we consume technology, how we consume media. What we do on a daily basis. How many people are looking at their phone right now to listen to this, huh? Why has NASA been putting that aircraft in space for years without knowing what it is about? Yeah. NASA is no longer a space agency, right? Their space program got shut down. Why are they doing anything? Why do they get so much funding right now?
If you're not convinced by what you see, they'll use technology to broadcast the message directly into your brain. You may not realize it, but this technology is being used on you right now. When the new God appears in step 2, you'll hear him speaking whether you believe in him or not. And you won't be able to escape his voice because you're not hearing it through your ears. His voice is coming from your mind. The third step of Project Bluebeam is mind control. They'll use electromagnetic waves to interfere with brain function. They can shape perceptions, create emotions, and influence beliefs.
The third step in the Bluebeam project uses electronically augmented two-way communication, where ELF, VLF, and LF waves will reach each person from within his or her own mind.
And this is very doable. To anybody thinking that this can't work, this can absolutely happen.
Communication, where ELF, VLF, and LF waves will reach each person from within his or her own mind, convincing each of them that their own God is speaking to them from the very depths of their own soul. Such rays from satellites are fed from the memories of computers that have stored massive data about every human on Earth and their languages. The rays will then interlace with their natural thinking to form what we call diffuse artificial thought. That kind of technology goes into the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s research where the human brain has been compared to a computer. Information is fed in, processed, integrated, and then a response is formulated and acted upon.
We know for a fact that the US military and intelligence have experimented with mind control. We know they used sound waves in the Vietnam War to make the enemy anxious without knowing why. The CIA...
This is all public record, for the record. It was declassified by the government. You can find this information if you look. This is absolutely true.
And then a response is formulated and acted upon.
We know for a fact that the US military and intelligence have experimented with mind control. We know they used sound waves in the Vietnam War to make the enemy anxious without knowing why. The CIA used these and all kinds of other methods to scramble people's brains and program them to be sleeper agents.
Link down in the breadbasket, Chief.
The government uses EM waves for all kinds of dark purposes. They've patented a device that can trigger emotions in a target from a half-mile away. But what's really scary about the patent is that it claims it can piggyback its signal onto any frequency. That would mean we can never escape it. Everything that uses electricity has an electromagnetic field. Think you're safe living off the grid? Nope. Radio signals can bounce off the ionosphere and reach anywhere in the world.
See, now that's a fact, first of all. But also think about, when was the last time you were in a place that couldn't that was truly off the grid. Understand what off the grid is. My gamble is that most people have never been to a place that is actually truly off the grid.
The fourth and final stage of Project Bluebeam is the most sinister. Serge Manasse predicts a universal supernatural manifestation with electronic means. In other words, an alien invasion. The elites will...
Now, this is the part right now. This is what everybody has been looking up to. Now, remember, the drones and everything that everyone is seeing right now, it starts with an earthquake, which we've already been seeing rumbles about. We've been seeing drones over every state right now. And now we're building up to this? Because the FBI supposedly doesn't even know what's going on. They're investigating this, right?
World. The fourth and final stage of Project Bluebeam is the most sinister. Serge Manasse predicts a universal supernatural manifestation with electronic means. In other words, an alien invasion. The elites will promise to unite and defend the world against our common enemy. But to do that, they'll need emergency power. But it's only temporary, so we won't resist authority. We'll beg for it.
One is to make mankind believe that an alien invasion is about to occur at every major city on Earth in order to provoke each major nation to use its nuclear weapons in order to strike back. The United Nations Court will require that all nations which launch nuclear weapons disarm when the invasion is shown to be false. And how would the United Nations know that the invasion was false? They will have staged it, of course.
Subsequently, I found out that at kind of Bunkport, there were all these UFOs zipping around when Bush was up there out on a cigarette boat. And they didn't realize they were ours. So now we're getting into false flag 101.
A false flag attack. They'll use holographic projections as well as real man-made craft designed to look and move like UFOs. And here's the twist. The groundwork for this deception is being laid right now. All my life, UFOs and aliens were a fringe topic. When Serge Manasse made his predictions...
They were. They've always been a fringe topic. But a key predecessor to all this... Also, what up, Hillbilly? Key predecessor to all this, what did the government do before all this started happening? How did they lay the stage for all this? They acknowledged that aliens are real, right? They did classified documents. The government has talked about it. People asked Trump, will you show the information about aliens once you're president again? Huh?
Well as real man-made craft designed to look and move like UFOs. And here's the twist. The groundwork for this deception is being laid right now. All my life, UFOs and aliens were a fringe topic. When Serge Manasse made his predictions, they were a fringe topic. Yet somehow he predicted that high-profile people from the military would come forward with claims of alien encounters, UFO crashes, and hidden government projects. He warned that whistleblowers aren't telling the truth, they're spreading disinformation. They're slowly bringing the subject of UFOs out of the fringe and into the mainstream.
That there is an overarching agenda that was hashed in between 53 and 56 to create the specter of a threat from outer space that does not exist.
And he said the best way to cause all people in the world to come together in one world government and end war forever would be if we were attacked by some other species from some other planet. And boy, that just clicked with me, and I knew that that this is just another scam. This is the age of deception. There's no doubt about it.
Age of deception, 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 age of deception.
Okay, so to read this real quick. On June 28, 2001, Bill Cooper said the U.S. would stage a false flag attack on a major city, blame Osama bin Laden, a name unknown to most Americans. 6 weeks later, on September 11, 2001, the towers fell. He said the government would kill him for revealing the truth. 6 weeks after that, Bill Cooper was killed in a shootout with authorities trying to serve him a warrant. Only one crime in America carries penalties more severe than murder. Do you know what that is? Anybody in the chat before we play it? It's tax evasion.
The military releases videos of UFOs, and Congress holds hearings, and the news reports all this with a straight face. This is all very new. By spreading the idea of non-human biologics with advanced technology, the elites behind Project Bluebeam are creating a narrative that will feel completely logical once the attack happens. Manasse's theory goes on. The invasion will begin with staged UFO sightings over major cities, causing mass panic. Governments around the world will issue warnings of an impending global catastrophe. They'll ask...
Now, what are we seeing right now? Again, again, and I'm only going to let a couple more seconds of this play, and then we're done with this.
Mission for something unthinkable and we'll say yes. Nuclear weapons will be deployed in a desperate battle for survival against alien forces. Can you imagine what it would be like if the skies were full of UFOs, fighter jets, and nuclear explosions? I mean, really think about it. That would be so terrifying that people would gladly give up freedom in exchange for survival.
And we have seen countless movies that prove that the assumption is that society would band together if there were an attack from outer space. Every world government, every society would band together in defense against an enemy from outside of Earth. We're seeing the start of World War III and the end time prophecies, in my opinion. Oh, look, after I started piecing things together in this, I don't believe that we're seeing the beginning of end time prophecy. I believe that we are at the middle of the tribulation period. I believe in 2025, we will see the temple reconstructed. We will see the Antichrist come to power in Israel, and we will see the rapture, the persecution of Christians remaining on earth. And we will begin the second half of the tribulation period where the false peace is over and people are truly suffering. And that's the thing. I'm nowhere near joking when I say that. I very much think that the next few months, everything is going to move very quickly into place. So hear me out. What if we are the product of a previous Project Bluebeam? Because a lot of the common religious views, how do they all end? Well, so this is something I started talking about in 2001. No, not 2001. I'm sorry. 2007, 2008. 2008 was when I really started learning about Islam. One thing that's always interested me about how all the major religions kind of play together, and they do to various extents. But right now I want to talk about Islam, I want to talk about Iran specifically, and I want to talk about Christianity. So in Christianity, we know that the world will be destroyed by fire. What is fire? Fire is a nuclear bomb. A nuclear bomb supercharges particles in the atmosphere to bring extreme heat. It is essentially fire raining from the sky, right? If you look into the power structure in Iran, they're actually controlled by I forget what he's called, but they're basically the mullahs in Iran control the government. The president of Iran does not have the top tier level of power that people assume that he has. He's essentially going to be a puppet of the religious leaders in Iran. They believe consistently throughout time. They believe in a very specific subset of Shia Islam, which feels that it is their job to bring about Armageddon, so that the 13th Mahdi, whatever it's called, I forget the exact term now because it's been a long time since I directly studied it, but so that he comes back to lead all the good Muslims on earth to the promised land. They actively believe that they are supposed to bring about Armageddon. How much have they tried to become a nuclear power in the world? How hard have they tried? How many assistances have they found? We funded their nuclear programs for a while. The fact is, they have actively worked to become nuclear powers on Earth with those radical views that they have to bring about Armageddon, which they very much believe is going to be a fire raining from the sky, catastrophic event. Okay? It lines up so much because of those motivations, things which they have then done, which has propelled certain biblical prophecies to come into play. The thing is, I'm not even saying that their religion is wrong. I'm saying that their faith is misguided. I believe, though, because of their religion, we have the roadmap. We see prophecy that we have already received being fulfilled. My thing is, even though I'm not a Christian, most of the major religions, and all end in the end of the world. You have Revelation, Ragnarok. The ending of Greek mythology was the fallout of the Trojan War, with which ended in a lot of death in the pantheon. Yeah, absolutely. Almost every religion in the world almost agrees. Every major religion almost agrees on a handful of things. They all agree that there was a great flood. They all agree in a certain turn of events, a large period of suffering right before an inevitable end and or judgment. That's why I think we are all a product of a previous Project Bluebeam. I don't believe that, obviously. But I mean, you know, possibly I will hear out a fully fleshed theory that says that. This is just where I stand. I believe that all of this is coming together. All of this is part of prophecy, and we are seeing through Project Bluebeam a worldly discussion of biblical prophecy that we will very soon see come to a culmination and a fulfillment. The interesting thing, and this is where it gets wild, okay? You can go to YouTube. You can type in drones. I don't know. Let's type in drones. Drones. Look at this. Drone, Deep 5. Where have mystery drones been spotted? I'm not going to pull it up. I don't want the audio. I want to see. Yeah. So right here. Look at this map. We have California. We have several states in the Northeast. We have Florida. I know Georgia is one of them. That's from 15 hours ago. New Jersey County sheriff on drone sightings. If this was a drill, we miserably failed. Drone spotted over New Jersey. Mysterious drones. Drone sightings forced New York airport to shut down temporarily. Residents capture new mystery drone sightings in New Jersey. Like, this is everywhere. This is coming out everywhere. It's being shown everywhere. Like, it's all across the U.S. right now. So interesting with what we just saw. Now let's search earthquake. Okay? Earthquakes. Look at this. 7 earthquakes hit Mid-South in the same day along the New Madrid fault line 4 days ago. 7 earthquakes shake area around New Madrid fault line 5 days ago. News about earthquake, Nevada. News about California earthquake and tsunami. We're seeing the earthquakes. We're seeing the piece that comes up there. But also, like I said, if you look in the book of Revelation, we are told earthquakes will ramp up. It'll be like birthing pains. The earth will go into a series where it's like a mother in birthing pains. We'll see earthquakes in diverse places all over. Natural disasters, what have you. Give me Neil deGrasse Tyson's response. He's always a beacon of playing things in the middle. Where was let's see, what is he saying? I don't really want to play that on this one because it's on CNN and I know that they will come for the video, and I would like for this video to have a chance to stay up. Let me actually do this. Let's see what he says.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, who has a new book, Merlin's Tour of the Universe, that is in stores now. It is great to have you. I mean, hearing those lawmakers there, I know one of them raised a good point. If you don't know what it is, how can you tell us what it's not? I mean, what is your take on what we've been seeing pop up over New Jersey?
First, I agree with the sentiment that if people cannot identify what they are, you're in no position to say whether they're are not a threat. So I don't get what it means when they say, oh, don't worry about it. We don't know what it is, but don't worry about it. But I can tell you this. Yeah, if I can't claim to know the motives of aliens, but just being an earthling, but of all the places to show up on Earth, they picked New Jersey? That'd be odd for me to wonder what the alien...
I mean, that's terribly unfortunate for them. So obviously, and that's the interesting thing too, a lot of people in the media have made a joke out of it or have downplayed it or said, I don't know, I don't understand. You know, the 3 mountains here are shown signs of coming alive. Yeah. Volcanoes that have been dormant are active again, acting like they're gonna do something. You know what I mean? And let's be real. A big earthquake at the New Madrid fault line or at the San Andreas fault line could easily spark activity from Old Faithful again, which is the largest caldera, I believe, definitely in North America, if not in the world. Yellowstone caldera comes alive, you're gonna know shit is getting real. Yeah, but I think that we could be at a point where that's a possibility. Anyway, like I said, these are just some thoughts, and I wanted to throw them out there and kind of get everybody, not really conspiracy whipped up, but really kind of thinking, because I really don't know what the compulsion was. It's just interesting to me to see something that's so fully aligns with biblical prophecy, with alternative beliefs, and like, you know, conspiracy theorists are really seeing this. There's a big push. I would encourage everybody to look into it on their own. I literally have only been looking into this for, like I said, about an hour. And so it just, when I got deep into it, I had to share, which I think the urgency or the care that I had for it is evident in the fact that I'm not watching football right now. I'm talking to you guys about this, you know. Ring of Fire has been going off for around 5 years now all over the world. Yeah, exactly, it has. And so it's you know, it's a lot of factors that are super interesting when you really dig into them and really think about biblical timelines. And so the interesting thing, so like I said, I've long held a theory that the next presidential term, if it was Trump or whoever, would be the beginning of the tribulation period. However, I'm starting to revise that theory and think that Biden's term was the beginning of the tribulation period, and now we're in that middle phase, which is where a lot of people believe that the rapture may fall. And if it is, it's one thing where I would really push people to really explore their faith during this time. And like I said, I know that, you know, in the middle of a conspiracy conversation, worst look that I could possibly give is to throw out, hey, think about Jesus, because that's just another tool for people to say, okay, well, this guy's crazy, or this doesn't make sense because of all that. But it's interesting. I really think that we are moving toward a time where we see unprecedented darkness in the world. We see unprecedented persecution. We see the fall of society as we have known it to this point. I feel like that is all coming very soon, very rapidly, and to an extent that we have never actually seen it before. And so, like I said, I have to, I had to come on and just kind of talk about it. I'd planned on this being, you know, close to about 30 minutes. We're sitting at 45 now. So that's really all I've got to say. I would love to keep the conversation going. I would like to hear things that you guys kind of come together with, bring it to the Discord. Let's talk about it. Comment on this video if you have anything to add to it or anything that you want to put back. I think that really, if we could get behind and you know, really build this as a conversation, it's something that I'm super interested in, but I have only just now started looking into, and so I can't really like compile a trove of information here. I really just wanted to do this live and leave it up as a video to be a starting point for a conversation that I'm super interested in having, I guess. But yeah, living by a volcano, knowing believe in the grace and love of our Savior. I ain't worried about it because I know where I'm going. No, I'm not worried about it either, but that's the thing. It's not a state of fear for me so much as I believe it's important in the world today that we push, especially that we have a heart for the lost enough to push this out, so that people who don't currently believe the way that we do have that security in the grace of God, in you know, the sanctification of Jesus. I feel like we need to have a heart for the lost right now more than we ever have in the past, so that we can see more people come to know that salvation before it's too late. Because I really believe it's months, like if not weeks or days, before we see the church taken from the earth. Before, just in the days of Noah, you know, we always refer that. Well, just in the days of Noah, there came a time where the door closed. And I feel like the door is going to close very soon. And so everyone should really, you know, take this time to think about it. It's interesting, Tater, and I'm going to close on this. I see that you said I'm praying he comes, and I hear people say that a lot. I'm not, and it's not because I don't want to be done with it and move past all the pain and everything, because I absolutely want to get to that point. There are too many people that I love and care about who I know do not have a relationship with Jesus, and so I'm not praying that he comes, not yet, because I want to see those people find that relationship, find that love, find that forgiveness before it's too late. Because once he comes, it is too late. And, if we truly are at the midpoint in the tribulation period, the second half is far worse than the first half. The first half is really the beginning. We're told there's a false peace during that time. And so, it's not the time of persecution that we all really fear. That's the second half. And so if we are coming up on that, then it is certainly about to get way, way worse. No matter what, things are going to get way, way worse. I feel personally that at best case, we are at the beginning of sorrows right now. And that's best case scenario. I feel as though realistically, we are at the end of the first half of the tribulation period. But that's me, and I don't know that, and I don't claim that anything I say is a biblical fact or a set in stone timeline or anything like that. This is just what I think and what I wanted to share with you guys. Me too, but that's on them and not me. No, absolutely, it's on them, but I care about them and I want them to have the time. Yes, I understand. Like, we can be home and we can be happy sooner than not if Jesus comes back, sooner than not. The sooner we get the return of Jesus, the closer we get to the millennial reign, the closer we get to eternity. And so 100%, I want to see that eventuality come to pass. But like I said, for me, I don't want it to be accelerated, because I genuinely want everyone who doesn't know the love of Christ yet, who hasn't bowed their knee before Christ yet, I want them to have the time, and I want them to have the heart. I want them to have the transformation that gives them a chance to find that salvation. So that's the only reason. When I say that I'm not actively excited for that time to come, it's not that, I think it's my responsibility or anything. I hope that they have that time. I hope that they make that decision sooner than not, but I do hope that they have that time, because I know that they haven't made that decision yet. Believe the aliens are actually the fallen angels? 100%. If we get into what angels are, and that's a whole conversation that I've had several times, 1000% aliens are fallen angels. We know that fallen angels are active on Earth. We know that people have interacted with fallen angels. They haven't gone anywhere. It's not like they left. We see biblical accounts of them being on Earth. We know that they interact with people because they bred with the daughters of man. So 100%, the fallen angels were on Earth, were interacting with people, and are still on Earth. So absolutely, the aliens are actually the fallen angels. That is what is at play in this world. Everyone who says that they've seen angels, believes in angels, whatever, seen aliens, believes in aliens, what have you, absolutely, I think that they're right. I believe them, because the fact is, biblically, we are told that they are here. When you come down to a lot of people, this is a deeper conversation, but a lot of people have talked about, oh, well, these ancient societies, they built religions around false gods. What if they built religions around the fallen angels that were interacting with their societies? 100%. If you look at, let's look at some of the Egyptian hieroglyphic depictions, okay? I really want to show you this. I wasn't going to bring this up here, but look at this. Look at this. Let's see. Egyptian Ra. Let's look at Ra. Ra as an example, right? Okay. This is how the Egyptians depicted Ra. Okay? Now, let's see. Let me see. Hold up. So Ezekiel 10:14 is what I'm looking for specifically. If you guys have Bibles and want to turn to it, I would say turn to your Bible and read it. Don't take my word for it. But if you don't want to, or if you want to take my word for it, that's pretty good too, because I'm going to read it from mine. But Ezekiel 10:14, right? Now I want you to look at this picture of Ra while I read Ezekiel 10:14. All right, so let me back up. I'm actually going to go into, let me back up. So I'm going to back up to Ezekiel 10:8, and I'm going to read from there on. So Ezekiel 10:8 says, "And there appeared in the cherubims the form of a man's hand under their wings. And when I looked, behold, the four wheels by the cherubims, one wheel by one cherubim, and another wheel by another cherubim, or cherub. And the appearance of the wheels was as the color of the beryl stone. And as for their appearances, they four had one likeness, as if a wheel had been in their midst, in the midst of a wheel. When they went upon their four sides. They turned not as they went, but to the place whither the head looked, they followed it. They turned not as they went. And their whole body, and their backs, and their hands, and their wings, and the wheels were full of eyes round about, even the wheels that they four had." So that's about the cherubims, and how they look, right? Then we get to, "As for the wheels, it was cried unto them in my hearing, O will, and every one had four faces. The first face was the face of a cherub, and the second face was the face of a man, and the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle." And so the interesting thing is to me, when we get into, the look of angels, the actual biblical depiction of the look of angels, not the little naked babies with wings that society presses out, or the majestic, graceful, beautiful thing that a lot of painting and artistry really lays about. It's interesting to me that the actual biblical description of what an angel looks like comes a lot closer to what the Egyptians attributed their gods to looking to. Now, so if we go down to what a lot of ancient religions really build their deities around, build their central figures around. Here's the thing, it's no secret. The Roman religion, which is closely tied to the Greek religion, the Roman religion attributed already their gods to the stars in the sky, to the different planets that they knew existed, right? Okay, so if we go from there, what is Satan attributed to in the Bible? What is he called? Anybody? The latency may not be big enough for me to ask questions and get an immediate response, but the answer that I'm looking for is morning star, right? So we know that angels biblically can be connected with stars in the sky, with heavenly bodies that you can see from earth. So we know that Satan was already attributed as the morning star. If we see how the Roman mythology is built around celestial bodies, that seems like an obvious gateway to attribute other angels that they would have worshipped. We know that the Greek mythology was very closely aligned with the Roman mythology. We know that those two, they were essentially, there is literally, all the stories are the same. There's literally an overlap in the deities from both of those pantheons, right? You can look at Norse mythology. You can see a lot in Norse mythology which really attributes to things that should have happened. Why do you think that Odin was at war with Ymir at the beginning of Norse mythology? Why do you think that there was a great war where all of the mythological beings that fill out the Norse pantheon came together after? Why Odin became the leader after he slayed Ymir and the world was built in the skull of Ymir, right? It's interesting because we look at these things and there are commonalities which come out, but there are absolutely attributes of fallen angels in the deities in every mythological pantheon, in every ancient religion. If you go down to, when we look at Islam, why Islam is so egregious, if you look at the actual history of Islam, look at how Muhammad convinced people to fall into Islam in the area, why it was built around Mecca. There were 150 gods, I believe, which were being worshipped in Mecca at the time that Islam prevailed as the predominant religion. What Islam sought to do was to show that Allah was actually all of those gods coming together. And it's very easy when you look at, if a fallen angel becomes the head of a religion, the head of a body, and there are other fallen angels being worshipped, bringing people together to really solidify a stance in an area. I believe that Muhammad was visited. I feel as though he actually had a conversation with an entity. I just don't believe it was the same God that Abraham talked to, which is what Islam teaches. But you know, because the same God that Abraham spoke to would not have told Allah that Jesus was not the Son of God. He was only a good man and a prophet. So it's interesting anyway, when you come around to it, to look. With the existence of fallen angels, I feel like you can very easily find and explain the origins of most things, a lot of things when it comes to other religions, when it comes to mythological pantheons, so on and so forth. And that's an interesting conversation, which you know, I'm happy that we got a chance to have, but not necessarily the main focus that I came here to do. But the general rule for the Thursday Not at Noon series is that we're gonna spend, you know, roughly an hour or less doing these. We're sitting at 59 minutes right now, so I'm going to wrap this up. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. We can talk about Project Bluebeam. Let me know, you know, if you've got anything that you think feeds into this, anything that you want to add about the, you know, Bible prophecy coming about, or anything about, you know, moving forward, you know, what we talked about at the end with, you know, fallen angels, aliens, mythological pantheons, so on. Leave me a comment. I would love to do more content like this. I would like to make it a lot more coherent and make actual videos about it instead of just off the cuff going live. But I felt like we had to have this conversation right now, and the best way for me to have this conversation quickly was to go live when I got home, instead of recording a video, editing, and then waiting until I got a chance to upload it. So let me know if you even like this content like this, or if we should just stay away from the conspiracies and only talk about it in the Discord. But if you're not in the Discord too, Discord is a great place. We're always having conversations like this all along the time. So please think about joining it. Tully, I'm not sure. I don't think I've seen your name in live stream chats before, but thanks for hanging out with us for a minute. Thanks for everybody else. Most of you guys I know pretty well, always hanging out with me. Appreciate you guys. Shout out to you guys. Roxy, Tim, Fireman, Tater, HBR. I know we had a couple more people. We had Sam Squatch, Denise up in here. We had Nappy up in here. Yeah, so appreciate you guys popping through. There've been a lot of lurkers throughout too. Appreciate you guys stopping through. Definitely feel free to say hello sometime. But this is on YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. So if it goes down from somewhere else, find where it's still up. But like, share, subscribe, follow, all those good things. It's your boy DJ AlphaTyler. I hope you are staying safe, taking care of yourselves, and we'll catch you guys next time.